Hi, my name is Tommy Kelly. So guys, welcome back to another video. Today is the ED series as well. So today I want to focus upon what is eating disorder recovery. This is something a lot of people ask me because they feel that they have struggles with not knowing if they're fully recovering properly, and things that occur in their eating disorder recovery. Is this normal, and am I fully recovering? So basically I've written a lot of things down here, so bear with me if I'm looking down. I'm not trying to be ignorant. Like I say, because we obviously talk about body love, self-acceptance and obviously obstacles that we face, but we don't really talk about the recovery looks like and feels like, and it obviously leaves so many people confused. So it makes sense when people ask me, how do I know when I'm recovered, or I did such and such a thing in my recovery, is that a relapse or is that normal? Obviously I say body image problem, or is that a return of your eating disordered thoughts again? And it's like nobody has the answers to these questions. We look for a model to compare ourselves to, but can't find one, as you all know. So how do you know? So 5 questions I hear a lot and will answer so you know it's perfectly normal is: number 1, what is eating disorder recovery? Well, for me, engaging in behaviours versus practising recovery is similar addictions as alcohol, etc., and not a choice, but due to the imbalance of your brain chemistry, so you can't abstain from your brain's cravings, and most feel recovery means going back to what life was like before your eating disorder, but for most that just isn't possible. As I say, an eating disorder is a hugely detrimental effect on your large part of your life that can have long-lasting effects, as we all know. It takes over your life. It basically becomes your identity, or so you think. And even though it sucks, as we all know, it's okay being in recovery. Doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean never having negative thoughts, food thoughts, or loving your body every single day. It's an ongoing process. You've just got to start to like your body, then love yourself, start introducing foods, start facing your fears every single day, adding in another fear food. It's an ongoing process. There'll always be bumps in the road. Recovery is not linear, as I say. It obviously means telling your eating disorder voice to shut up on a daily basis, and that's something that I know only too well. You've got to realise that eating disorder voice is not you. You are not your eating disorder. You've got to take back control of your eating disorder. A good way to do it is counteract eating disorder voice. Realise when it tells you things like, such as, oh, don't eat this, you'll be fat, or go out and exercise and things like that. You've got to realise that food is your medicine, and you've got to really stick to your recovery process, eating by the clock, watching your exercise and things, because your eating disorder can creep in so easily. Like I say, it's practising and being compassionate with yourself and your feelings and your experiences daily. Number 2 that I get asked a lot is, what is the difference between typical and disordered? Well, that's a good one. Unfortunately, like I say, we live in an environment where diet cultures run rampant, and it obviously teaches us to hate our bodies. We feel we have to strive for this so-called perfect body, and there's no perfect body, as most have a complicated relationship with food and body image. But this leaves eating disorder recoverers wondering if what they're doing is a relapse, or is this awful new normality in society, and that's exactly what it is. It's just that you're constantly bombarded by media and things and apps telling you to eat this, eat that, eat things. I would say to you, if you've got any things like this that are triggering, whether it be social media apps, magazines you read, TV programmes, any people that even in your life, as hard as it may be, get rid of them, because you really need to get rid of all those toxic relationships and anything that's social media that's going to absolutely trigger you. It's the only way you're going to recover. So, example, if you're obviously looking at your body in the mirror, is that an example of obviously learning your body, loving your body, or your body checking? If you refuse a bar of chocolate, for example, is it because you really don't want it, or because of the fear creeping back in? These are obviously questions we need to ask ourselves constantly in eating disorder recovery. and it kills you. It really does. As I wish you could just trust yourself to go to a place and never having to think about it. But eating disorder involves a lot of deconstructing of your own thoughts. So it's okay to ask yourself what's going on. My answer, obviously, if you're doing something in response to negative feelings about food or your body, and if you find yourself doing this regularly, that it may be obviously time to engage with your therapist again if you're not already. And your support system, obviously if you have one, because support systems are very, very hard and few and far between. Obviously we don't all have partners, we don't all have family, and even support systems in your community, not everybody has access to that, and some of them are good and some of them are bad as well. So obviously you need to do that, obviously with the possibility that you're maybe crawling towards a relapse. But obviously if your feelings are few and far between, don't worry about that. That probably means you're still on track. We all go, like I say, those bad feelings daily, and that it's only if it's gone for a long, long period of time, like you're going over maybe a few weeks and you're getting all these thoughts, then if it's daily and it's consuming your daily life and it's taking over everything you love and things like that, that's when you know that you're really heading towards a relapse, and you really must speak out, because that's the most important thing. Speak out early, let your eating disorder team, your friend, your family member, your partner, whoever, let them know right away, because you really must. It'll save you going into that severe relapse. Number 3, I get asked, is if I mess up, am I a failure? Well, no, the simple answer is no. As I say, recovery is not linear. But obviously, seriously, sometimes old habits die hard, as we all know. If you're restricted or binged today or you purged, put it down to an experience, and when you wake up tomorrow, recommit to your recovery. Like I say, we all have off days, and you've basically just got to recognise them, and wanting to eradicate them is obviously part of the mindset in recovery. So I've basically wrote down what recovery looks like and what we think it is. So as you can see, recovery, what we want, basically it goes up and we're just recovered. But obviously how recovery really is, like I say, it's a bumpy road, and then you get there eventually, and that's what it's all about. Number 4, sometimes I really miss my eating disorder. Is that normal? Unfortunately, yes, it really, really is. It's something we all struggle with. It's 100% normal. For most of us in our eating disorder, it can consume us and we feel like it can define us, and we feel that we aren't sure who we are without it. It's really common, and also that's ED, eating disorder talking, trying to convince us that we need it, and to be honest, you absolutely don't believe that eating disorder. You'll never have the life you love until you choose recovery. There's so much out there. You lose the things you love, you isolate yourself from people, as we all know. It takes so much away from you, and unfortunately it's got the highest mortality rate of all mental illnesses that can actually take your life, as you well know. So we don't want to glamorise eating disorder. It's all about showing pro-recovery. Also, for a lot of us, and me included, the eating disorder works as a coping mechanism, supposedly helping me in times of stress and grief and things like that, or difficult times. So obviously when these times arrive, your brain recognises this to go to a way to deal with it. But you need to see that you have a whole toolbox of things to cope, and that is your brain telling you that the eating disorder is the easiest way to cope. So tell your brain you know better, and use alternative ways to cope rather than the eating disorder, and one that nourishes your body and obviously your mind. So that's what you do. Find something that you can use to cope with these eating disordered thoughts. For me, like I say, coping with grief and things like that, the thing I use is remembering the good times with my parents, going down to the grave, celebrating them, just trying not to let stress get to me. And obviously the biggest part is speaking out to your loved ones right away and letting them know how you feel, because you bottle it up, eating disorders thrive on secrecy, and that's when it takes over. Number 5, how do I know when I'm fully recovered? Well, that is a really, really good one, because like I say, I think an eating disorder is something you suffer with all your life, and it's something you're just going to have to learn to cope with and keep that wee eating disorder voice just whispering away rather than shouting you. I feel recovery, like I say, is a lifetime ongoing process, because it feels to be perfect and is full healing. Real regards anything. It's possible to be over it without forgetting it existed. You can move on, like I say, and to a healthier life, but you also need to shut up that voice from screaming to a silent whisper into a happy place in your life. Because like I say, because you're always growing and evolving, and why recovery is a journey and not a destination, and that's true. Because self-actualization is something we all want, and we're a work in progress, like I say, not because you are your eating disorder recovery, but because we're all humans, and that is a truly beautiful thing, and so are you as well. So I hope you have liked this video, guys. If you want any more videos, like I say, please let me know, but I just wanted to cover this because people had asked me what was my thoughts on knowing if you're fully recovered and things that they suffer with in eating disorder recovery. I'm sending you all my love, and remember, binge on life, purge negativity and starve guilty feelings, and I'll speak to you. Remember guys, binge on life, purge negativity and starve guilty feelings. Speak to you all soon and love you so much.